I was 15 when this happened and very small, 4'11", 120 pounds at the time, so I didn't look very intimidating. I wish I did look intimidating, because what happened that night and a few days later has haunted me ever since. My friend Hannah and I were at her house playing some video games and watching TV. It became really late, around 2 a.m. to be more precise, and instead of taking the offer to spend the night, I decided to walk home. I lived a few blocks away and it was a small town. I thought nothing bad would ever happen. It was a nice night, so I decided to take an extended walk on my way home. I saw a parked car in the middle of the street with the lights off. I got a little scared, but I kept walking. I made my way around the corner and the car turned its lights on and slowly and a little ways back from me turned the corner as well and started following me. My blood turned to ice and fear overwhelmed me. I saw a couple guys outside of the town restaurant and I ran up to them and told them the situation. The men told me to wait with them. I found out as I was standing there that I went to school with the little brother of one of the men, so this made me feel a little better. We turned our attention back to the car and waited for it to pass, but it kept circling the block. They asked if I would like a ride home or if I would like them to walk me the rest of the way. To be honest, at that moment, I wasn't ready to trust anyone, including them, as I was already terrified. Stubbornly, I decided to take a chance, and after waiting a few minutes, I ran all the way home as fast as I could. I got into my house, went upstairs, and fell onto my bed, heart still racing. That Monday in school, the whole school was talking about a girl in the next town who was picked up while walking alone on a street. She was raped and murdered by a convicted rapist. I have never told my parents about this or any friends. I've been too scared. I'm not sure if it's a coincidence or if the man who was following me was the man who killed that girl. The thing with this story is that one might say I'm the creep, or it's my fault this happened to me. I'm a 12-year-old female. I'll be 13 in March. My best friend Denise and I both started making fake Tinder accounts sometime last year. We used to send the guy to the abandoned house across the street from Denise's house. We climbed out of her bedroom window and would watch them, laughing while texting them. It was always so much fun. At the end of August, Denise moved to St. Augustine, Florida. I was distraught. I missed her so much and just really wanted to do something that reminded me of her. So I downloaded OkCupid and made a fake profile. Right away, a guy named Mark texted me and I was thrilled to have my first victim. We texted for a while and over that time, my whole life changed. Every time we talked, he found a way to weasel my beauty into the conversation. I should let you know that I look a lot older than I am. That's why I was able to pass for an older girl. Then the creepy questions started. He asked me if I'd ever been with two guys before, if I'd sent him nudes, where I lived and went to school. This had never happened to me before, and I didn't know what to do. I stopped answering him around the third day, and the questions just got weirder. Can I have your number? What's your Instagram name? Can I come see you? I freaked out a bit, but didn't tell my mom since I didn't want to get in trouble. I blocked him on OkCupid and tried to act like it had never happened. The fourth day went by with no problems. However, on Saturday, I woke up around 2 in the afternoon and went outside to get the mail and brought it back in and tossed it on the table. I went about my business for the rest of the day. Around 9, when my mom got home from work, she called me downstairs. I had mail. I was surprised since I don't usually get mail. I ripped it open and what I read almost made me drop to the floor. Written in big blue letters was the word, "Hi Ari." That was it. I knew it was from Mark, because Ari was the name I picked out for my profile. It was totally at random, and I didn't tell anyone, so no one could have known to call me that. I don't know how he found my address, and it scares me quite a bit. That's the end of my story for now. I'll let you know if anything else happens. I'm only 12, and I never expected something like this to happen to me. I don't stay home alone much anymore, and when I do, I stay locked in my room with my 2 pit bulls. I know this was short and not that scary, but how would you feel if you did something expecting to have fun, but it ended with you being scared out of your mind? When I was growing up, I would occasionally ask my mother if she had any scary real-life stories she could tell me. She chose not to mention this one until I was old enough to hear it. When my now deceased grandmother, my mother's mother, was in her early 30s, she decided to drive to our town's convenience store after dark to pick up a couple things. She had finally just managed to get her 4 children to sleep and left my grandfather to take over while she hopped in the car and made the 10-minute drive. Back then, the road from their house to the store had very few neighbors and was mostly just woods on either side of the 2 lanes. After buying the couple things she needed, she left the store and jumped back into her car, pulling out onto the road for her route home. A minute into the drive, she routinely checks her rearview mirror. Instead of seeing the usual empty road or a set of headlights, reflecting back was a man's face in the back seat. Scared to death, she instantly hit the brakes, hard enough to shock the man, probably giving him whiplash. She jumped out of the car and began screaming loud enough so people near the store could hopefully hear. Having this man's plan foiled, whatever his plan may have entailed, he took this opportunity to escape the car and ran into the woods out of sight. After getting back to the store and calling the police, my grandmother found a cloth covered in chloroform in the back seat. Last summer, I took a road trip to Galveston, Texas with my best friend and her family. They had rented a beach house, and the first day there, me and my best friend, Brooklyn, shared a room downstairs while everyone else was upstairs. No complaint, since we had our own bathroom, and after 10 p.m., full private access to the kitchen and TV. A few days passed and everything was great. We pretty much slept the entire day for some reason. Brooklyn and I decided to go down to the beach together at night. We weren't scared at all. She had been here tons of times in the neighborhood, at the same beach, so I just pretty much followed her adventures. Walking down the quiet road was a bit weird, but pretty much everyone on the rented streets had left the day before, or the day we had arrived. We passed this house that had caught on fire, and you could just feel unsettling vibes from it. We ignored it and kept walking to the beach barefooted in our bikinis. The whole having the entire beach to ourselves idea seemed great till we actually got there. It was pitch black. The other nights, at least, the moon was shining over the sea so we could see who or what was going on. This was so eerie. We couldn't see a damn thing. Once we really got close to the water, we noticed a wind-blown, beat-up umbrella covering a very beat-up beach chair. For some reason, that really creeped us out. Brooklyn and I aren't scared easily. We love paranormal things, and we usually watch true creepy stories while home alone, with no problem. But this night, we were so frightened. At first we would joke around, teasing each other and ourselves, saying stuff like, what if we find a weird creature down here? And shit like, oh, remember the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer? There could be a murderer watching us right now. And we'd end the insane talk with laughter, but then something caught our attention. It's very hard to hear footsteps in sand, and even more so because the waves of the ocean were so loud. But we definitely heard footsteps. Only us and one other family were staying on this private beach, so who would be stalking around here? After a while, we used the flashlights on our phones to see around, and after seeing it was nothing, we laughed and continued walking. We joked again that it didn't matter if there was a killer with us down there because whoever was the slowest runner was screwed, and we were girls with boobs. You can guess where the joke went from there. Again, we started laughing, but then we heard footsteps again, running either around us or toward us. We couldn't figure it out. I could see the look on Brooklyn's face. It was the face of terror when she would look behind me, which pissed me off so I would hit her, but she wasn't laughing. Before I could ask her what the problem was, but she took off running towards the wooden bridge that took us back to the street of our beach house. Of course, I wasn't about to stay there by myself, and apparently she saw something, so I bolted after her. Using our then hilarious method, I ran before her, knowing I wouldn't be screwed. We ran up the wooden stairs that were open, so anything could hide underneath them. Not saying there was, but we sure heard rustling under there. Once we reached the part of the bridge that was lit up, we felt better. We linked arms and started to catch our breath. Whatever was chasing us wasn't anymore. We began to laugh again until we passed the house that caught fire. In the burnt rubbish was a figure of a man standing there. Maybe burnt, or maybe he was just black-figured, but he was staring at us, his creepy eyes following us. The house was blocked off, so no human at least could get to where the man or thing was. We reached the beach house and slumped down on our bed, completely freaked out. Brooklyn and I haven't spoken of that since. I don't know what we saw, or if what I think I saw was what was chasing us by the beach. I'm 17 years old, and this happened when I was around 14. I grew up in a very quiet, friendly neighborhood with my younger brother Shane, who was 10 at the time. We always had 3 friends on our block that would hang out with us almost every day, especially during the summer. Their names are Connor, Kate, and Cody. At the end of our street, there's an auto shop surrounded by about a mile of woods in all directions. This place used to be where we would spend most of our time, but we don't desire to go there anymore. For many years, we would try and convince our parents to let us sleep in the old cabin just a few minutes into the woods for one night. I know, sounds generic, cabin in the woods and all that, but the day they finally agreed was the worst day of my life. It was a summer night in the middle of July. We had finally gotten all our parents to agree on letting us stay out there, and we were all excited. After dinner, we grabbed the things we had packed and headed into the woods. When we got there, we set up the air mattress that me and my brother and Connor would sleep on, while Kate and Cody set up their small blow-up sleeping bags. We spent the evening eating the snacks we brought, watching movies on the portable DVD player, and just being us. When we finally decided to go to bed, it was around 1 a.m., and we all got to sleep very quickly. A while later, I was woken up by what I thought were footsteps outside. I opened my eyes to see my brother looking around and asked him if he heard it too. He nodded. The others were still asleep, and being the oldest, I felt strong and like I needed to protect them. I grabbed a stick with a sharp edge that I'd always pretended was a spear during our games and crept towards the window. Sitting under it, I got ready to look outside. But just as I started to get up, I heard the sound of a branch breaking, and it seemed really close. Cody looked at me and asked what I was doing and what that noise was. I shushed him and told him there might be someone outside. He immediately reached into his bag next to him and pulled out his dad's hunting knife. I was going to ask him how he managed to sneak it, but was interrupted by a knock at the door. The door was rotted and would easily give in to a grown man. This woke up Kate and Connor as he said, "Come on out, kids. I know you're in there." Kate screamed and Cody and I ran to the window, shoving it open. I grabbed my brother and pushed him out. Cody followed quickly after. Connor only managed to put a hand on the window frame when the man appeared in front of us. I rammed him in the head, driving the sharp plank into his eye. He grabbed it and threw it at me, covering his eye in pain. We took this opportunity to run out the door toward Kate's house, since it was the one closest to us. Through tears, I was able to explain what happened, and Kate's dad ran out the door with his hunting rifle to search for Cody and my brother, while her mom called the police. After what seemed like hours, the police came back with Kate's dad and Cody, but not my brother. The police told me that Kate's dad had shot the man, causing him to drop my brother, and he hit his head on a rock. They had my brother sitting in the back of the police car until an ambulance arrived. The man turned out to have been watching us for about a month and had photographs of us in his pockets. I don't know what he wanted to do to us. Luckily, Shane is fine, but he still has the scar where he had to get stitches. Cody told me that they made a run for it and ducked into the bushes, but the man found them, and he picked up my brother by the shirt. His last words were, "I have you," and then he was shot. If Kate's father hadn't come sooner, I could have lost my little brother.